Welcome again to the Shooting USA YouTube channel. We're glad you're here. An interesting factoid, some of our more popular videos see as many as 75 or 80% of you are not subscribed to our channel. If you like the content you're seeing, please honor us with a subscription. And if you're interested in full-length current episodes of Shooting USA after it airs on the network, there's a link in this video's description to our Vimeo channel. Now, here's the content you came to see.
Today, we've got a lineup of some very big handguns that chamber some very serious cartridges. And every one of these is intended for hunting, handgun hunting. It's a form of hunting that is closer to bow hunting in the strategy. Handgun hunters will tell you they enjoy getting closer to their trophy before taking a shot. It's hunting that most often requires stalking to get inside 100 yards before being sure of a clean kill. It will test your skill in the woods beyond sitting quietly in a tree stand. And there are advantages to stalking deer or elk with a handgun. Even the monster revolvers are easier to carry for a day in the woods than an 8-pound rifle. Now, there are a couple of tips to keep in mind. Always be looking for a place to rest the handgun to steady your shot, the side of a tree, a walking stick, something to help you achieve the shot you want to bring home that trophy. The other tip, bring enough gun to do the job. What you need for light-skinned game like whitetail or mule deer is very different than what you need for this guy. Elk requires more caliber and more energy. All right, what are the guns to choose from and the calibers? Well, there's a basic division here to be made between guns chambered in pistol calibers and handguns made to chamber rifle rounds. Let's start with pistol. And with the lightest caliber, the .44 Magnum, in the Desert Eagle that's topped with a 10-inch hunting barrel. The reason for the long barrel, to give the gases enough time to get the bullet up to max speed. This caliber in this gun is suitable for whitetail. The Desert Eagle with the hunting barrel will run $1,400 at most gun shops. It's topped with a loophole extended eye relief 2-power scope. That is another $200. All right, next up, the 50 AE, that's 50 caliber Action Express, chambered in the Magnum Research BFR. Now, officially, that stands for Biggest Finest Revolver, but there may be a hidden meaning in that name somewhere if you think about it. This one has a 7.5-inch barrel. The BFR revolver is single action, and it has a transfer bar safety. The hammer can't reach the firing pin unless the trigger is pulled. The BFR without a scope will run about $900, and in 50 AE you are good for deer and beginning to move into the power range for elk. Then there's the new Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum round, chambered where else but in the S&W 500 Magnum. This is the first model with the 12-inch barrel and the compensator in front of the sight. It is a giant version of the typical Smith double action with a safety system under the hammer. The 500 is a 5-shooter. And there is now a new model, the 500 Magnum 4-inch, that is not the choice for handgun hunting, but for handgun protection in bear country. Again, the gases need the time in the longer barrel to get the bullet up to maximum speed. Smith says the 500 Magnum 12-inch is capable of taking any game that walks on the planet with the right choice of bullet. They say it is the world's most powerful handgun. It'll run about $1,000 at your gun shop. But then, what about the rifle cartridges? Well, first we got a pair of Thompson Center Encore break-top single-shot hunting pistols. These are both topped with Thompson's 2 to 7 power variable scopes. Metal sights are optional. This one is chambered in .308 and has a 15-inch barrel. This is basically a short rifle without a stock. The second one is more formidable. All the features are the same, but it's chambered in .375 JDJ. Now that stands for J.D. Jones, who developed this cartridge for big game hunting in Africa. Either of the Encores, including the scope, is a bargain in this group. Suggested retail is $585. Then, believe it or not, one more BFR, chambered in 4570 government. This may be the world's longest revolver cylinder to take the modern version of a classic hunting round that's normally chambered in rifles. This BFR with a 10-inch barrel, if you have the nerve to pull the trigger, is also $900 plus the Leupold 2X pistol scope at $200. The Leupold will stand up to the recoil. And it should be obvious with all of the rifle cartridge handguns, you've got the power for all North American game animals. So what about Smith saying this is the world's most powerful handgun? What about these? Well, coming up, we'll find out as John runs the power comparison test. That's next. So the question is, in handgun hunting, what really is the world's most powerful production handgun? Well, we've got the technology to find out. We had Brownells send in the Ehler printing chronograph that is the standard of the industry for accuracy in measuring bullet speed. It does that by watching for disturbances in the light between the photocell and the base of these 3 sky screens. It has 3 screens because the Ehler takes 2 readings and compares them before reporting the results on the printer. As I said, it's the standard of the industry. Now, if we know the bullet speed and the weight of the bullet, we can compute the power. John, explain how that works.
All right. We'll be using the power factor calculation. It's a formula that's familiar to all action shooters as they've at one time or another had their ammo tested to be sure they're not shooting a light load. The formula itself is pretty simple. It's the bullet speed in feet per second times the bullet's weight in grains divided by 1,000. That's your power factor. And that's the test. And you'll notice who's been chosen to shoot these 6 monsters.
Hey, I'm old and I'm not stupid.
We will start with the rifle cartridges. First up is a .308 Winchester from the Thompson Center Encore. Velocities are through the roof, between 2,550 and 2,600 feet per second. An astounding average velocity of 2,579 feet per second is the fastest in the test. But a bullet weight of only 130 grains makes a power factor of 335.2. The BFR in 4570 is next. Velocities range between 1,430 and 1,350, giving an average of 1,385 feet per second. Combine that with a bullet weight of 300 grains to make a power factor of 415.5. The top rifle cartridge in this test is the .375 JDJ fired in the Thompson Center Encore. Velocities range from a high of 2216 to a low of 2139, yielding an average of 2,171 feet per second. Bullet weight is 220 grains, producing a power factor of 477.6. Now let's look at the pistol cartridges. The .44 Magnum in the Desert Eagle with the 10-inch barrel is first. The Chrono reports velocities ranging from 1,502 to 1,469 feet per second. The average velocity is 1,485 feet per second. Combine that with a bullet weight of 240 grains to make a power factor of 356.4. Next up is the .50 Action Express in the Magnum Research BFR. Velocities are ranging between 1,527 and 1,460 feet per second. With a bullet weight of 300 grains and an average velocity of 1,492 feet per second, the .50 A&E makes a power factor of 447.6. The top performer of the pistol cartridges is the 500 Magnum in the Smith & Wesson with the 12-inch barrel. Velocities from the 500 are between 1,723 and 1,587 feet per second. With a bullet weight of 400 grains and an average velocity of 1,639 feet per second, we are looking at an astronomical power factor of 655.6.
Well, it's no contest. The Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum is absolutely the most powerful handgun in the world. Nothing else is even close.
So how's your arm?
Well, I got to tell you, after that test, I was very aware that I had shot 6 of the world's most powerful handguns.
Here's the inside story. We sent the guy with the titanium arm to do this test. We've got the x-rays to prove it.
And the scars.
All right, but let me ask you this. In a day of hunting, where you let off maybe 2 or 3 rounds if you're successful, is this thing manageable?
Oh, absolutely. It's the 120 rounds downrange for the test that's a little aggressive. Not my favorite thing.
The things we do for research. Thanks, John.
Well, you've made it to the end of another Shooting USA video on YouTube, and for that, we thank you. It does help the channel if you subscribe, like, and comment, and that will help us keep the content coming.